This session on back safety discusses one of the most common workplace injuries and what you can do to prevent back injuries. You'll learn about many ways you might injure your back, as well as what you can do to prevent injuries. At the end of the session, you will be able to understand how back injuries occur, prevent back injuries, use proper lifting, loading, carrying, and unloading techniques, think intelligently about your back and the importance of keeping it healthy. Why do you need to know this? Because it is likely that you'll experience a back injury at some point. In fact, 80% of Americans will have a back injury that requires medical attention at some point in their lives. Back injuries are second most common cause of days away from work, next to the common cold. 20% of all workplace injuries and illnesses each year are related to back injuries. Once you've injured your back, it is more likely to be re-injured. Back injuries need to be treated carefully to avoid having a constant problem. In addition to missing work, an even worse result of back injuries can be a lifetime of constant pain. It's important to understand why back injuries occur so that we can learn how to prevent them. Your back has many different interactive parts. There are 33 vertebrae in the backbone that extend from the hip bone to the base of the skull. These vertebrae protect your spinal cord. Between the vertebrae are gel-filled pads called discs, which separate and cushion the vertebrae to allow your backbone to be flexible. Your back also contains many muscles, ligaments, and tendons that connect the spinal cord with nerves. This system allows you to bend and turn your back and keeps everything properly aligned. Injuries can happen to these various parts if they are torn, stretched, bruised, strained, or cut. Different types of back injuries. A strain happens when you overuse or overstretch your back muscles. This happens to people who try to do too much when their backs are not properly conditioned. A sprain happens when the ligament in the back is torn excessively or stretched. This could be the result of a sudden forceful movement or from a small movement that injures an already weak ligament. A bulging disc occurs when a disc begins to come out from between two vertebrae. This can cause painful pressure on the spinal cord or other nearby organs. Often, the back muscles try to compensate for this injury until the muscles themselves become strained. Finally, a herniated disc occurs when the disc begins to leak its cushioning fluid. The disc loses its ability to cushion the vertebrae, resulting in pressure on vertebrae, the spinal cord, and possibly other organs. There are many causes of back injuries. Often an injury occurs due to a combination of causes that weakens your back over a period of years until something is seriously damaged. Here are some of the common causes. Poor posture can cause your back pain. People often complain of back pain because they slept in an awkward position or sat and stood in one place for too long. If your back is in poor condition, you may have back pain. This often happens to people who normally don't use their back and try to do something that requires a lot of lifting or other stress. Being overweight or having a pot belly can cause continuous stress on your back that will gradually weaken it and contribute to injury. Bad lifting techniques are frequently a main cause of back injuries. Lifting a load improperly can cause a serious and immediate injury if your back is already overstrained or out of shape. Finally, an underlying medical condition, such as scoliosis, can make the back more susceptible to injury. Now that we have discussed many of things that can cause a back injury, let's try an exercise. Which of the activities listed on the slide do you think could potentially cause a back injury? The correct answer is all of them. Each one of the activities listed on the slide has the potential to cause a back injury, especially in an unconditioned back. Be careful of all your daily activities. Here are some activities at work that can cause or contribute to a back injury. Reaching into a rack or bin, or reaching overhead while lifting something. Bending over to lift or unload something, or even to tie your shoes. Even sitting for long periods of time, or using poor posture while sitting. And finally, bad lifting techniques, such as bending over while twisting or bending. We'll discuss this in more detail later. Now we'll discuss some of the ways to prevent back injuries. One good way to prevent back injury is to maintain proper posture while sitting or standing. Here are some points to remember. Try to maintain your body's natural curves when you're sitting, standing, or moving about. When standing, stand straight with your shoulders back, your head up, and your feet shoulder width apart. Remember not to slouch or hang your head. If you need to stand for a long period of time, it helps to put one foot up on a rail, ledge, or a stool in order to help the body maintain its natural curve. Sitting properly is also very important. Don't slouch backward, forward, or to the slide. Instead, sit up straight against the chair's backrest with your shoulders back and your head up. Sometimes using a footrest helps you maintain proper position. If you need to type with a keyboard for a long period of time, make sure the keyboard in the chair position to allow you to keep your shoulders back and your forearms parallel to the floor. If you're already experiencing back pain, you might tend to slouch or bend in order to relieve the pain. However, this contributes to a bad posture and is likely to make the problem worse. Finally, stretch and change your position as often as you can and perform activities that are appropriate for your size and condition. Another way to prevent back injuries is to improve the condition of your back. Here are some ways to do this. Physical conditioning of your back means not only improving your back muscles, but also related muscles such as the one in your stomach and thighs. Regular exercise should help keep your back strong, maintain your flexibility, and prevent strains and sprains. Staying flexible and limber is also important. Your exercise program should emphasize flexibility so that you can bend, turn, and twist your back without injury. Finally, try to lose excess weight that contributes to poor posture and puts a strain on your back muscles. Your exercise program should also help you lose weight. Another way that exercise helps keeps your back healthy. And always consult your physician before starting an exercise or weight loss program. Here are some exercises you can do to prevent back injuries. These exercises are intended to improve your conditioning and flexibility while helping you lose or maintain your weight. But remember to consult with your doctor before starting an exercise program. A program of walking for 30 minutes a day will help strengthen muscles and prevent weight gain. A daily program of stretching exercises will help improve your flexibility and keep your back in good condition. Stretching exercises might include bending backwards or sideways, rotating your hips, or twisting gently from side to side. Sit ups help strengthen your stomach muscles, which in turn helps support your back. Leg lifts help strengthen the muscles in your hips and buttocks. These can be done when you're standing or when you're lying on the floor. Another good exercise is squats. These strengthen your back, stomach, and leg muscles, and also help keep you practice good lifting techniques. One good way to prevent these injuries is to use lifting equipment rather than trying to lift and carry heavy objects manually. Some of the equipment you can use include powered equipment such as forklifts, powered carts, and electronic pallet jacks. But remember that you must be trained and authorized to use this kind of equipment. Equipment such as hand trucks, carts, and manual pallet jacks can be very helpful, but make sure you choose the right equipment for the job. It's also better for your back to push your hand cart or truck rather than pulling it. Cranes and hoists are good for lifting heavy loads, as long as you're trained and authorized to use them. Make sure that all lifting devices are rated to carry the weight you are trying to lift. Pattens, which are adjustable tables, can be used to raise and lower loads or to adjust objects to a comfortable height for working. Finally, conveyors are a good way to move material without carrying it manually. Remember, never ride on the conveyor or climb over or under it. Let's discuss techniques for lifting objects properly to prevent back injuries. When lifting an object, remember to always stand close to the object with a wide stance. Feet should be shoulder width apart with toes pointing outward. Bend at the knees and hips and try to maintain your body's natural curve. Pull the load close to you and grip it firmly. Tighten your stomach to act as a back support and lift your head, which will help you lift with your legs rather than your back. Finally, when you're ready to lift, use your legs and keep your back straight. Try to practice proper lifting technique even if you're lifting a very tight load. Bags can be heavy and awkward to lift, so bend your knees to squat next to the bags. Grab the bag at the opposite corners. Know where the load's center of gravity is so you can handle it appropriately. Pull the bag up on your thigh or waist. Make sure the load is stable and that you have a good grip. Use your legs, not your back, to stand up. And finally, hoist the bag onto your shoulder in order to carry it. Some loads are too big and heavy for one person. These require team lifting, which also requires proper techniques in order to be safe. First, designate a team leader for the lift to direct all the motions. No one should be doing anything unless the leader says so. This will prevent someone from being injured if another member of the team does something unexpectedly. Members of the team should lift the load slowly and at the same time. Keep the load level. This is particularly important if you're going up or down stairs. The person at the bottom will take more of the load if it is allowed to tilt downward instead of remaining level. When it's time to unload, team members should unload slowly and together, following the directions of the team leader. To prevent back injuries, it's also important to carry the load properly as is to lift it properly. Lead with your feet in the direction that you want to go. Make sure you can see where you're going. Trying to save time by stacking objects is not worth getting injured because you can't see clearly. Take small steps and make sure your footing is stable. Be especially careful on steps, ramps, and areas with uneven surfaces. Don't twist your back while carrying a load. To turn, move your feet rather than twisting your back. Unload properly is also important for preventing back injuries. Basically, unloading is the mirror image of lifting a load. Remember these rules for proper and safe unloading. Squat with the load bending your knees. Don't bend your back. Instead, keep your back straight and let your legs do the work. As a final tip, keep your fingers away from the bottom and sides of the load so they don't get pinched or crushed. When handling loads that are over your head, it is very important to observe safety procedures in order to avoid an injury. Remember to stand facing the load. Don't reach up to pick up a load. Instead, use a step stool or a ladder to get your shoulders level with the load. But don't stand on a chair or a stack of boxes. This could cause you to fall. Slide the load close to your body and grip it firmly. Finally, maintain good posture and use your legs to step carefully down from the ladder or step stool. If necessary, have someone else spot you to make sure you don't lose your balance. Long loads, such as lengths of pipe or lumber, can be very tricky to handle even if they are not heavy. Here are some techniques for handling long loads safely. First, pick up one end of the load to make sure you can handle it by yourself. Walk towards the center of the load until you have found the center or balance point. Place the balance point on your shoulder and stabilize the load with your hands. Watch the ends of the load to make sure that they don't strike people or objects. You may want to raise the forward end and lower the end behind you so that you will avoid striking someone in the head. It's important to think about your back with every movement you make. Be diligent. Sometimes it seems easier to simply bend over to pick up something rather than squatting and lifting it properly. Be sure to use proper lifting techniques. Think long term about your back. Lifting something improperly may not hurt you at one time, but long periods of improper lifting and carrying will increase your chances of a back injury eventually. Don't lift too much. Get help if a load is too heavy for you. 50 pounds is the limit for most people. Remember that you're not competing with anyone or trying to win an award. You're trying to save yourself from injury. Always consider your back in your daily activities. Think about your posture or whether you're in the right condition for physical activity or whether you're using proper techniques when lifting and carrying an object or even a child. This slide shows an example of how a back injury can occur. It shows a man trying to move boxes of polymer film into a pallet by himself. Each box weighs 100 pounds and is long and thin, 6 feet long by 1 foot wide. This man is wearing a back belt and has trained in lifting techniques. He tilts the box towards his body. The man stands the heavy box on its end, then rotate it on its bottom edge so he doesn't have to lift it onto the pallet. Suddenly, the box starts to fall over as he's moving. He tries to catch the box as it's falling and strains his back. What went wrong in the scene you just saw? Could the employee prevented this back injury? First of all, the box was probably too heavy. Although he tried to avoid lifting it by staying on its end, 100 pounds is too heavy of a load for most people to handle. Secondly, the box was too big to move alone. A 6-foot box may be too big and awkward to grip and handle without help. Did the employee follow proper lifting techniques? The accident happened when the employee tried to prevent the box from falling over. He did not maintain good posture when he had to bend and twist suddenly. When he tried to stop a heavy box from falling, his awkward posture contributed to the injury, and clearly he did not have a good grip on the box. What about the back belt he was wearing? Many workers think they can do more than they really can if they are wearing a back belt. Back belts do not help. Some key points to remember. Maintain proper back posture. Try to get regular exercise to keep your back in condition. Use lifting equipment rather than trying to lift something manually. Have a plan in mind before you lift and transport any object. When lifting or unloading an object, use your legs rather than your back. Bend at the knees when you lift or unload. Finally, always be thinking about your back and what you should be doing to lift and carry safely without risking a serious injury. This concludes our session on back safety. There will be a quiz at the end of this session. Thank you.